Hello, I'm sharing my story and I'm gonna make it fast so that you can watch, okay? I don't want you to get bored and click off, okay? So, I'm gonna start this video off by saying that my mom raised me with my dad, and my mom always used to tell me, don't ask for no handouts, don't ask us for nothing, don't ask us for no money. So, growing up, it was embedded into me to never ask my parents for nothing, literally. Like, I couldn't ask for a Louis bag. I couldn't ask for a MacBook. I couldn't ask for a Mercedes. I had to literally settle with what my parents used to provide me, okay, growing up. So I always knew I had to be a go getter my whole life. I just knew it from a child. Like, my mom was serious. Like, she was serious about people not asking for money, you know? So I did have an allowance in school where I would like have this allowance from my dad, to eat. And then he would also be like, hey, if you get A's in school, I'll give you $100 an A, But my mom was never on some like, I'm just gonna give you money. Okay. I'm gonna provide for you the necessities of what you need, but don't ask for nothing. You get what I'm saying? So I wasn't necessarily a spoiled kid. I was more so like my parents got it out the mud. They went to work, they worked for everything, they earned everything, and they provided, the lifestyle of what they could afford, nothing more, nothing less. We were just, we had a decent childhood. But the thing about it was when you go to public school, you see other kids have Jordans, Mercedes, baby fat, like, designer stuff. And I had to literally start saving up my allowance. I think I used to get like $60. I used to start saving up my allowance. They used to barely buy me like a sidekick, like a Boost mobile phone, a chirp, some Nikes, one pair of Jordans, like, but I couldn't really get the stuff like when I yearned for it, It had to be when they were ready to give it. So I used to save up my allowance and I used to start doing electronics in high school. I was like into the electronics. I love the sidekicks. I love the phones. I love the MacBooks, the iPods. I used to like buy and resell when I was in high school. Like, I was just experimenting in high school with like how to get money and how to hustle, because I couldn't really ask my parents for nothing. That's why at 16 I got a job. At 15 I got my first car. They did buy me a brand new car. It wasn't the car I wanted or desired. I didn't even have any idea of what I wanted. My parents just bought me a brand new Toyota Corolla at 15 and I wrecked it, and then I ended up getting another car and then another car, and I had to provide for myself. So basically, growing up, it was rough, but I lived in a decent neighborhood, like I had a pool, a house, a bedroom, dogs. I had food on the table, I had clothes on my back, but I didn't have like designer stuff. So I had barely a smidget of stuff, So that made me very hungry and passionate inside to be a go getter. You get what I'm saying? But it was instilled into my head, don't ask nobody for nothing. So my whole life, I grew up kind of not asking people for help, not asking people for handouts whenever, you know, um, I just had this energy of like I had to get it on my own. So basically, okay, high school, going into college, I had to provide for myself in college, guys. My parents did not pay for college. I paid for college all on my own. I had to figure it out. I ended up getting a job at 16, had a job since 16, had money since 16, had money since 19, took myself to college, had to pay for college all on my own. Literally had to get it out the mud. And every time I had a boyfriend, I never used to ask my boyfriend for handouts. Like whatever they wanted to give to me, they would give to me. You get what I'm saying? And like when I had money, I used to start like buying myself whatever I wanted. You get what I'm saying? But I didn't really splurge on myself. I actually built a business where I would buy designer and I would resell it. So I was all about the profits, like, okay, if I'm gonna spend my money, my own money on business, I'm gonna, make money back, and that's how like all my money came back to me. But long story short, I say this to say, whenever I'm dating a guy, I always had that childhood instillment of don't ask for nothing. So growing up, like I never asked a guy, can you buy me a car? Can you buy me a purse? Can you buy me food? Can you buy me shoes? Can you pay for a bill? I never been that girl. I always provided for myself. I've always just been a hustler. You get what I'm saying? Because my mom raised me like that. Like, have your own shit. So I always figured it out. Always figured out an income. Always figured out a way. I always figured out something because I always had to provide for myself. You get what I'm saying? Even though my parents had money, I could not use them. Like I could not be like, Dad, buy me a Louis bag. Even though they would give me stuff here and there because they would be proud of me, like, oh, she's the only one that doesn't ask for anything. That's what they say about me. She's the only one that don't ask for nothing. They would like help me because they see me helping myself. Um, they like that, so they'll give me stuff. But long story short, I had to get every other thing on my own. Like anything that I desired, I had to go get it by myself, literally. And I never was the type of girl that depended on a man. Like, oh, I'm gonna get a man to trick on me. You get what I'm saying? Never. Because my parents literally instilled this value into me, like, get it on your own. So that kind of became a thing for me. Like, when you get it on your own, you earn it on your own, it's much more valuable and no one can take it away from you. So now fast forwarding, because my dating life is very different from a lot of people's. A lot of people don't realize I'm very much a square. Because I have to make money on my own, I don't be having time for dating. Like, when I do go get it, the bag, the money, then I could sit back and be like, okay, I've accomplished enough. Like, right now I have my house, I have my car, I have some savings, I have, income, I have, things going for myself right now. So now I'm like, okay, I can actually focus on a relationship. But I'll say this, most of the time I'm celibate. Most of the time I'm not dating. Most of the time I'm turning guys down. And this newest guy that I started talking to, he came into my life and he kind of gave me my karma back, my dharma. And a lot of people don't realize this, but this guy that I'm currently still, seeing is a guy that came in my life and kind of gave me my dharma back, which is like karma. Like, I remember I was dating this one guy and I gave him $1,000 because it was like charity to me. I was just like, fuck it. He's gonna pay me back. He didn't pay me back, right? He didn't pay me back. We stopped talking. Long story short, I can afford that. Now, normally I don't give guys money, but I've given before, because you give, you receive. Okay, good karma, your dharma, whatever. Long story short, this guy came in my life and he spent a lot of money on me, and I didn't even have to ask him. I didn't have to say, oh, take me out to eat, pay for this, pay for that, pay for the entertainment. No, he literally offered. He was just like, I'm about to splurge on you here. Boop, 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 and I'm like thinking in the back of my head, like, oh, I got it. Like, I can go out because I got it. Like, it's, I don't really need nobody taking. It's nice to meet a guy that wants to provide for you. But I just knew it was my good dharma coming back around. Like, okay, yeah, I remember when I did something nice for somebody. Now he's doing something nice for me. So I look at relationships differently now. I'm just like, dang, I deserve it because I've given, I've worked my ass off, I've earned a lot. And, going forward, now that I'm much older, I'm much wiser now, and I'm not in that childhood energy anymore where it's like, you don't ask for nothing. Now I'm like older, I'm like, you know what? I deserve to be provided for. I deserve to be, in a good relationship. I deserve to be, spent money on or given an allowance or, but I'm not that girl that gets breadcrumbed like on purpose. I'm that girl that just was like, I can't ask these dudes for nothing. Like, growing up, my mom told me don't ask for nothing. So I always got it out the mud. I always had to go get it on my own. I never really tried to use people, So long story short, my palm is itching. Hopefully there's some money coming in. But yeah, that's my attitude towards like breadcrumbing. That's my attitude towards getting it out the mud. That's my attitude towards like having a provider type of man. It's nice when a guy provides. It's like, oh, good. Like, this feels good, but not having to ask either. But then also I remember I felt comfortable enough to be like, I want to go to the spa. And right when I said that, he was like, oh, I got you. $180 spa, guys. I never pay $180 for a spa. At the least I paid for this one day spa, it's like $35, right? $40 maybe for a spa day. This spa I was looking at, I was like, $180? I'm not paying $180 for that. I'm about to find somebody. This is what I said before I met him. I was like, I'm about to find somebody to pay for that $180 spa. I was just kidding to the universe. I just had said it one day. Like, dang, I'm about to manifest me somebody to pay Lo and behold, the universe sent him randomly. And when I told him that after he had already offered all this, my good Dharma, he paid for our date, I told him, I was like, I'm going to go to the spa. He was like, I got you. No hesitation. He was like, I got you. I'll pay. He was like, we go together. I'll meet you down there. I was like, okay. Literally, and he followed up and he ended up sending me $150, but I told him I wasn't going to go to the spa because it was too late in the day. So I didn't go to the spa. It's a nice ass luxury spa, but I was like, $180, dang. Like, but no, he just was like, here you go. And I was just like, that's what I deserve. Because I've worked my ass off, like I deserve so much more. And this is the era of like deserving so much more and knowing that you deserve love and knowing that it's on the way, as I continue to heal, as I continue to, improve. It's a little bit about me, guys. A lot of people don't realize that. I get it out the mud. I get it on my own. What does that mean? That means that you have to go find your own wealth, your own money, your own income. Ain't nobody really, really, truly, truly helping you. Maybe you have like little bits and pieces of help, but like you're not out here just like, can you pay for my rent? Can you pay for my car note? Even though that's not a bad idea. All right, guys. See you later.